All right, so let's take a look at my yogurt. Now, doesn't that look good? See how well that holds? And this dark layer on top is just fresh cream that gets naturally separated when you make your yogurt. I also have another one that's already been opened, and you can even see the natural whey that is extracted as you make your yogurt fermentation. And then here is what a fresh one looks like as of yesterday. You can hear that nice little pop, and look at that shine. My name is Matthew Cress, and this is how I make yogurt. All right, so to get started with my yogurt recipe, today we are going to do 3 liters of yogurt. So right now I have 3 liters of, this is raw milk from the farmer's market, heating up on the stove top, and I'm going to wait until it hits about 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And once I hit 180 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm going to let the milk, I'm going to turn off the heat. Here I've got a very low heat going on. I'll turn off the heat and wait for it to cool down to about 115 degrees Fahrenheit. So while my milk is heating up, I'm going to take 1 teaspoon of my previous batch of yogurt per liter of milk. So since I'm doing 3 liters of milk, I will be taking 3 teaspoons, which makes 1 full tablespoon of my previous batch of yogurt. And I will be using this as my inoculate. You do not want to do too much, and you want a rough estimate. You would not want this to be, overfilled. And it is a good idea to have the yogurt and maybe even a little bit of the whey in there, just to get enough of that inoculate in your next upcoming yogurt batch. All right, so we are at 181, so that means that we have hit our milk temperature. So right now I'm going to turn the heat off, and I'm going to give my heated milk a quick stir. The bubbles are no problem. It's just air that's been incorporated into the milk that will dissipate through the incubation period. And I'm going to let this cool down either as is off the heat, or I can speed up the cooling process by using a cool water bath in the sink, for example. And finally, I will let this cool down to about 115 degrees Fahrenheit, which makes about 46 degrees Celsius for those in Europe. All right, so now I am at temperature. I am at 180 degrees Fahrenheit, and that, well, 181, and my goal was 180. That means that the milk is hot enough. So now I have turned off the heat, and I'm going to let this cool down to 115 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 46 degrees Celsius. And for reference, 180 is about 82 degrees Celsius for those in Europe. So what's going to happen is I can either let this cool down all by itself, or I can plunge it. I can plunge the whole pot into some cold water to help speed up the cooling down process to 115 degrees Fahrenheit / 46 degrees Celsius. And then at that point, I will inoculate with my yogurt. All right, so here I'm cooling down my milk in a cool water bath that I've drawn in my sink. And you can tell that we are already down to about 125, but that will be a false reading because my thermometer is close to the edge. If you give this a stir, it's gonna, there you go. It's gonna jump right back up. So what you're gonna want is for your reading to be at the true center rather than at the edge, just so that you're getting an accurate reading. And if anything, just always give it a quick stir to make sure that you're at the correct temperature before you pull your cooled down milk. All right, so some of you may be wondering, hang on, let me give this a stir, because that is not down to that temperature yet. There we go. So some of you may be wondering, why are we bringing it all the way up to 180 and then just to cool it back down to 115 afterwards? Well, milk has a certain type of protein structure. Milk is protein, fat, and carbohydrates. And the protein has a structure, and that is why milk is fluid at its regular state. We heat it up so that we take these protein structures, we break them down so that they are more malleable and we can do what we want with them. By inoculating with a yogurt strain, we're going to say to these broken down proteins in milk, hey, I want you to look like, and the bacteria is going to ferment, take away the glucose, the lactose section of the milk component, the carb component, and it's going to instruct the proteins as they incubate, they're going to tell them, I want you to look like this, and it's going to instruct the milk to come back together into this type of structure. So in summary, we're going to heat it up, break down the protein, inoculate, and this bacteria in here is going to instruct the milk proteins to come back together into a yogurt-like consistency. So now that my milk is between about 108 and 115, that means that it is at the right temperature to inoculate. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put this into one of my incubation jars, and I'm going to pour in some of this milk, and just to break this up, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to distribute it between all of my jars around the edges of every single jar, so as to encourage a good inoculate of every single jar so that fermentation is guaranteed and it is as consistent as possible throughout the entire incubation process. All right, so here we go. Pour that into one. Give it some milk. Just enough to break it up. Give it a quick stir, and then I am just going to do one of these, and then one of these, and I am going to do that with every single jar. And as you can tell, when you look at all of these jars, they now have this type of like milky film all around the edges. And that is exactly what I'm wanting, because that means that from the amount of bacteria that I had in my inoculate previous batch of yogurt, that means that there is now at least some bacteria on the walls of every single one of my jars, which is a great way to make sure that your yogurt has good consistency throughout every single product that you make. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to take this yogurt, just mix, and you're just going to add it back in to your original pot. Give it a quick stir. Hang on, you're a little out of frame. Give it a quick stir. Don't need to do too much because it has already been mixed and there's already bacteria in each of these, and it mixes pretty easily. And then you are just going to distribute this in between each jar, and my jars hold 0.75 of a liter, so I have 3 liters, and 0.75 is going to give me 4 jars to make 3 liters. All right, so I have filled up each of my jars with my inoculated milk, getting ready for incubation. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a hot water bath for these to incubate in, just like any other type of dessert that is gelatinous that you'd want to set properly with a water bath. So what you will see is that my temperature is way, 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 way too low. That is not a problem because my bacteria are still alive. All I need to do is create a hot enough water bath to bring this back up to temperature, and my yogurt will be just fine. You can be a little bit too hot. If you are too hot, then you will kill the bacteria. But if you're too low, the bacteria just are going to need a little bit more heat so that they are encouraged to ferment appropriately. And but this amount of temperature is not going to be here for way too long. I'm going to create a hot water bath for this. All right, so as you can tell, I have, my temperature at about 110 here from a very hot water bath. So I just brought it back up to temperature. And I'm actually going to add more water because I want this water line to match my yogurt line, which is all the way up here. And then I will put it into my oven ready to bake, incubate, for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, depending on how long I want it to go. I usually just let it go until I think about it, and usually about 4 hours does the trick. Now, just for reference, when you are incubating, between 104 and 110 degrees Fahrenheit is about a 4 to 6 hour incubation time. If you were to do hotter at about 115 degrees Fahrenheit, you would need a lesser amount of time for incubation because the bacteria will be eating faster because they will be warm and ready to consume the lactose that is here in the milk. So I will take back what I said before. I'm going to put my water line as far up the jar as I want. As you can tell, it's getting quite to the edge of this little bucket, and I want it to be at least 3/4 up. And so now what I'm going to do is and this water is going to act like a temperature control because of the amount of volume of water that is here. This will create a very, very, very stable environment for the temperature of my milk. So the consistency of my incubation will be the same every single time. And I will actually, when I'm incubating, I will put my thermometer in this water bath rather than in here because I'm going to lid and close these so as to not incorporate any outside bacteria into my yogurt, so that it is a closed environment where the internal bacteria can eat and enjoy their milky lactose to create my delicious yogurt. So as you can see, I have my 3 liters of inoculated milk to become yogurt in my cute little French oven ready to incubate, and with the probe in the water bath. All right, see you in about 3 to 4 hours. All right, so I have set my timer to go, and I will wait until this hits about 4 hours, I will say, and I will just not want this 115 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 46 degrees Celsius, will be my temperature maximum. I don't want my yogurt to go above this. 113 is still a little bit high, but it's just fine. It may decrease over time through the 4 hours, but usually my temperature will be really quite stable with the water bath that it has been in. But I will check in this at about 4 hours. If this was at like 110, I would check it in maybe like 5 or 6 hours, for example. All right, so we are at about 3 hours and 30 minutes. So let's take a look at what we've got going on. All right, so let's take a look at what we have. So right now, hang on, let's look. Oh, completely set. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I'm absolutely tipping this in quite a bit. And you can see it's starting to pull from the side right here. So yeah, our yogurt is completely set, and we can pull this out from the oven. All right, so we got our first one we just checked right here, but just to make sure, let's look at the other ones. Yep, that one is all set. I'm tipping this at about a 30, and there is no liquid at the top. So, and this is warm to the touch. So this is very clearly a success. All right, so these little yogurts are good to go, and they can go into the fridge overnight to set even farther, because as they are warm now, they are going to be a little bit looser in their consistency, but once they set and are cold, they will hold quite nicely on the spoon, like when you saw me inoculating and grabbing that tablespoon at the very beginning. All right, so hello, it is the next day, and here is our chilled yogurt. Let's pull these lids off and see what we've got. And now it's kind of a seal going on. Oh, doesn't that look good? You can't really, I'm not sure if you can tell. Oh, there is that shine. And so what you're gonna see from when you get high quality milk, you are going to have a cream layer on top. And because I'm in France, of course, my yogurt is going to be just the best. And so when I dip my spoon in here, you can see I'm going to be able to get just the most perfect scoop. Isn't that nice? And you can even tell right here at the very top, it's a little bit darker from the side, which means that that top part is the cream layer. And that is exactly what you want from good high quality yogurt. This cream top layer is going to act like a antimicrobial fat seal, which will keep your yogurt for much, much longer in the refrigerator compared to any other dairy product that is mixed. All right, so how about we serve this up? Here we go. You can see, look at how great that is. That just holds its shape. Isn't that awesome? Okay, let's keep going. There's that cream layer. And as you can tell, there's a huge difference between the color here and the color here. The color here is our actual yogurt. And actually, what's on top, I wouldn't really consider yogurt. I would actually more consider this to be crème fraîche, which is just like fresh cultured cream. Let's keep going. And then, so let's do about that. And then maybe I'll add in some like mixed fruit. But one thing that you will notice is that as you are serving yourself yogurt, and as I'm eating in this from this pot, is that there will be a liquid that comes out, and sometimes, and it will just kind of sit there, kind of like when you have like a tub of sour cream or any other kind of dairy product, you'll get this like weird liquid. And what that liquid is just whey, just like whey protein. That's in whey protein. Technically, a protein powder is just this whey liquid that has been completely dehydrated and taken as a sports supplement. So no worries, whey is a natural product. If you don't like it, you can toss it. It's a great probiotic. If you do like it, just stir it back in. It's regular liquid from the yogurt fermentation process. All right, so I have actually a jar that is almost done, but this has a perfect example of that whey extraction that gets released from the yogurt when you start serving it. And so all that has happened here is that the whey has been released from these sides. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. And you get this liquid, and all that is just whey. And you can use this to even inoculate your other ferments to create a lacto fermentation product. But it's good stuff. You can either just dump it out, eat it as is, or just mix it in. I like to have my yogurt in this like beautiful protein matrix. I like when it holds. Some people like to mix it in. If you don't want to mix it in, you're doing just fine. So that is the yogurt process. So here I just have some stewed apples with a simple syrup in there. And this honestly is my go-to dessert. It is what our ancestors would recognize, what our grandmothers would have. It is just stewed fruit and some homemade yogurt. And Oh, doesn't that look good? I'm so excited to have dessert. All right, so that was my full French yogurt process, start to finish with the full technique. Once again, my name is Matthew Cress, and if you liked this video, feel free to like it, share it with friends, or if you have a question, feel free to leave a comment below, and I would love to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.